introduction. I'm gonna please help me in welcoming two very, very special men. They're amazing men. We have Larry Janos, who is here in honor of his son Tyler, who was a organ donor, and Bill Fleming, the recipient of Tyler's heart. They're gonna come up here and share an amazing story with both of you.
Thank you. It's an incredible sight I'm looking at right now, and I appreciate all of you being here. Our story really didn't start last May when my son passed away, but it was slightly earlier than that, a couple years ago. Tyler was renewing his license at the DMV in Cheyenne, and I went along for some reason. Anyhow, he asked me if I was a donor, and I said, well, yeah. And he goes, well, isn't that kind of strange? And I looked at him and I said, well, what are you going to do with him? Now, that 2-minute conversation, or less than that, I never thought that much of it at the time, but down the road, it really made a big difference. And the big difference was, I knew what Tyler's wishes were, and I really strongly recommend that all of you that are donors let your family know that you would like to do that. From there, our story kind of went on. We received a letter a few days after the transplant about where the organs had gone, different parts of what we thought were really of the country. The heart went to a gentleman who's standing beside me from, we were told, New York. One kidney to a gal here in Colorado, and a kidney and a pancreas to another gal in Colorado. The liver went to a lady in Missouri. Lung went to a gentleman from Nebraska, and hopefully, without getting too close to my notes, I haven't missed anybody. But those letters that we've received from Donor Alliance really helped us through a really trying time. My wife and I, when the mail would come, I would go check the mailbox, come in, and nothing got open until we were both together. And as soon as we did open it, we'd have our tiers, and then I would go ahead and send a few things out over the internet, and it was amazing the response I would get. Some of it was family, some of it was friends, but all of it was good. The underlying thing, if there's anything I can say, is it helps the family so much to get over things like this. Bill, I believe it was December 6th, it was right in there. We threw a kind of a wrench into the normal procedure. Bill got tired of waiting around for the hospital to get his paperwork or his letters to us, and he kind of circumvented things just a little bit, and I'm probably not supposed to say that. But we all got together, and our first communication was a phone call on the day that 1 year to the date that Bill had walked into, was it Denver Health? So you can call it a coincidence if you want, we don't. But so we had one connection there. On Christmas Eve, which, as you can imagine, was kind of a trying time for my wife and I was working, and I got a phone call from Bill. Now, that kind of gives you an idea of the type of guy he is, to take time from his family to call ours. It really, really just blew us away and helped us through a really trying time. But a couple of weeks later, we arranged a little get-together, and a few days after that, Bill and I jumped in a pickup and drove 1,400 miles across the country, and he got to meet my family, and we got to meet his family. So we've had an ongoing friendship ever since. Yes, we did get to get the stethoscope out and hear the heart. So that's one of the coolest things I can tell you about. But anyhow, I've completely gone off track from what I told them I would do. And my wife is probably over there going, there she is, my beautiful wife Debbie down here. But thank you all for being here. I really appreciate the support, and believe me, the donor families do appreciate the support that's giving to them. It really helps us. And with that, Mr. Bill Fleming.
Okay, I'm going to make it through this, and I told Larry before.
I'll be your family support group.
Okay, there you go, there you go. I asked Tyler for support for both you and me, you know?
Yeah.
To get us both through this. First of all, on the morning of May 13th, 2010, I received a gift of life and a new heart from Tyler Janos. Tyler Janos, his spirit lives right here. I'm just one of 5 people, like Larry said, whose lives were saved by Tyler. Plus, there was a 2-year-old, he's probably 3 right now in California someplace, who received the gift of sight from Tyler too. It all started, like Larry said, back on December 5th. Well, December 5th, I suffered a widowmaker heart attack. And I did what everybody else says that they won't do. I denied it. And I waited up to 5 days until December 10th, until my best friend Rick convinced me and dragged my butt down to Denver Health. And I walked into the ER. And within about 30 minutes, they promptly told me I should have been dead on Saturday. So it was a gift of God that I lived through it. Fast forward to May 9th on a Sunday. That evening, they had put me on a balloon pump. I was going downhill. They had me on pain meds. And it was going to be a hazy week. And then on the morning of May 13th, 2010, about 4 a.m., my nurse Becky came in and said that they thought they had found a heart for me. The next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital room. I looked down at my chest and I looked over at my family. The following day, May 14th, 2010, my 61st birthday, I was up walking around the hospital, and it was the best birthday I've ever had in my life. On Sunday, July 18th, last year, 1 year ago, I walked the donor dash with my daughter Erika, who's trying to film this right now, and with the rest of my family, Aaron and Paula, my 2 grandkids, and yeah, he ran it and he beat me. They walked it, and at the finish line, when Erika and I went over the finish line, now here's where it gets interesting, okay? There was this pretty little blonde lady who gave us our bags and we crossed the finish line. You remember getting those things? Neither one of us knew it at the time, but it was Debbie Janos, Tyler's mom. Fast forward to August 2nd, about 2 weeks later, I'm in rehab. I get a call from transplant, and they said they had a letter for me from my donor family. So it took me an hour to get through a 2-page letter with 2 pictures of Tyler. Now, 2 things are important in this letter. At the end, Larry and Debbie asked one thing of the recipients, because it was sent out to all the recipients. They just asked that in the fall, when we heard the sound of geese, because Tyler was an avid geese hunter, that we just look up and smile, because that's all the thanks Tyler would have wanted. The other thing was that prior to going into the hospital, I had wanted to make a trip to Washington for a rally being held on 8/28 called the Restoring Honor Rally. Because I had received a new heart, I was hesitant about making the trip. Now, I don't know why, but as soon as I read that letter, I was just like extremely calm, and I made the decision to book the reservations and make the trip. I responded to their letter. I got a second one at the end of October, and there was a picture of Debbie holding a poster of Tyler right after the finish line, and that's when I realized that the one who handed us the gift bags was Debbie. The other thing that happened was, after I wrote the letter, I was waiting to see the geese, Tyler's geese, and I hadn't seen them yet. Now, I've been out here since '73, and all of you know that you see and hear geese sometime in October, November usually, but not last year. But on Tuesday, November 30th, I'm at the Denver hospital at University of Colorado Hospital with Sean, and I'm looking out the window, and Sean's got his back to the window, and all of a sudden, Sean asked me, he said, "What are you going to do today?" I said, "Well, I'm going to go home. I got to write this letter to Larry and Debbie, but I've been waiting to see Tyler's geese." And right then, a flock of geese flew by the window, and I yelled at Sean, "Sean, quick, look, it's Tyler's geese." He looked over at me and he said, "Well, I guess he heard you." So, another coincidence? I don't think so. The bottom line is that this whole experience has been something that you know, I just can't describe. Like Larry said, on December 10th, I received a letter from Donor Alliance. I kind of wrote protocol and delivered a letter directly to them because I wanted Larry and Debbie to get it before Christmas. I got the letter, got home, went upstairs, and as soon as I sat down to read it and opened the package, the phone rang, and it was Larry and Debbie on the phone. And that was a year to the day that I'd walked in the Denver emergency room. We met, and like you said, we drove cross country. We've become, you know, pretty close friends. And then that brings me back to the reason why we're up here to begin with, and that's to thank and to remember and honor all the donors and their families, and all of you who have become registered organ donors. Because when you choose to do that, you make a noble choice, whether you realize it or not, because that means that you know that there's more than just yourself to think about in this world. We're all connected. Now, if you think that's something, I just want to leave you with one last thought. About 12 days ago, my heart transplant buddy Sean was busy at work in the bank counting all his money, and a lady walked in with her son. And Sean, being a curious kind of guy that he is, because she had one of these bracelets on, a Donate Life bracelet. So don't think it doesn't mean something, because here's what happened. He asked her the significance of it to her, and she proceeded to tell him that she was an organ donor's mother. Well, Sean is also a recipient. I'll make the story short. Within a 7-day period from that point on Monday, I got December stuck in my mind. Last Monday, July, hey, like Sean says, it's the drugs. What can I say? Last Monday, Sean was able to facilitate the meeting of Kim and John Lang with their son's recipient, Craig's recipient, Kyle Montgomery. So that happened in 7 days, and that was just 12 days ago, and they're all here today. So if you think that life is just a bunch of random occurrences and coincidences, they don't exist. Everything happens for a reason if you just take time to recognize that. So I'm just going to ask you to do something noble today. If you're not already registered, please become an organ donor. And one last thing for my friend Fred. No, Whale. But anyway, one last thing. Please sign up to become an organ donor. Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Thank you. If you would just stay up here, the two of you. We have a couple of plaques for you.
We're not going anywhere. For a little bit at least.
We have 2 plaques. Larry, if you want to scoot over here. This is a Donor Alliance's Donor Dash Donor Family of Honor presented to the Janos family, honors celebrating and recognizing.
Thank you.
And Bill, as recipient of honor, again from today, honor and celebrate and recognizing the gift of life. So thank you for your story. A big round of applause. I think your story resonates and has touched the lives of everybody out there. So thank you so very much. Jen Mo?
Hi everyone, I'm Jen Mo, Director of Communications. I just have a few small brief announcements before I announce who the largest community and corporate teams are. First of all, if you have those chips on your shoes, please be sure to